Good afternoon. My name is Robert Hopgood. I'm from Union Ponds High School in Cameron, North Carolina, and I appreciate the opportunity to reach out and conduct this initial round of interviews and wanted to take a few minutes to address the three essential questions that were posed as part of that interview process. And first of all, this is a really exciting opportunity that, regardless of what happens with me moving forward, that I love the idea of moving beyond traditional barriers that might exist to civic education. And this is a really exciting opportunity that I'm hopeful to play a part in if we decide to move that way going forward. With regards to the first question, the different hats that the fellowship members would be expected to play, uh, I think that this is something that I could accommodate to quite well. That, quite frankly, rural and remote communities, these are my people. I grew up in a small town in the northern part of North Carolina, Oxford, population of about 7,000. That was not really a bedroom community of the Raleigh Durham area. Uh, Somewhat adjacent, but that growth really hadn't come to our part of the state when I was growing up. For the past 22 years, I've been a civics education AP government teacher at Union Ponds High School. And Cameron, similar to where I grew up, is a remote community that we have certainly an influx of military families with our proximity to Fort Bragg. But we also serve communities, very small towns, very rural areas that have been a part of our school community for nearly 60 years. Um, and so, with regards to that, I feel like I have an ability to connect to these populations because this is the population that I've grown up with, that I've worked with for the past 22 years. Along those lines, because this is a program that is in essence being started from scratch, that of course there's the instructional framework from the National Constitution Center as to how we engage in civic and civil dialogue, understanding the basic premises of constitutional questions and political questions. But it's also the mindset that we need to be listening to stakeholders. We need to be listening to these community leaders, to teachers, and be advocates for them. That, of course, there are some truths within the Constitution that we want to lay out, but the idea that this would be a one size fits all, I think for most teachers wouldn't necessarily sit right with them. And so being able to engage with a variety of stakeholders to make a program that works well for them, uh, as mentioned, my people. These are communities that I think I can collaborate with well and have an inherent level of trust that maybe other candidates would not. Along those lines, how, for the second question, how would I connect to this notion of creating that civil dialogue, of building trust to be able to teach the Constitution on a nonpartisan basis? That has kind of been my MO for 22 years as an educator. Although I wasn't great at it years one and two, I presume I've gotten better. But one of the things that students have told me consistently, and their parents as well, is that they appreciate the fact that there can be open dialogue in my classroom. That, of course, everybody comes in with their preconceived political notions, but in teaching the Constitution and teaching U.S. government and politics, that I come about it from as neutral a position as I possibly can. And students have told me over and over that they appreciate the fact that they never felt pressured within my classroom to have to conform to a certain standard other than the standard of respectful conversation and civic dialogue. And along those lines, that when there is an opposing point of view that's referenced, that I'll validate it because that comes from something that's rooted within that student. And so we want to try to continue that expression of dialogue, moving from political views to constitutional views and see how we can square those two. Now, with regards to the third question, that my familiarity with resources and what I could provide in professional education. Well, number one, I am very familiar with the National Constitution Center's educational framework, with resources available that I consistently use the Interactive Constitution. I often use different articles and video content that the Constitution Center puts out, as well as components of Civics 101 or Constitution 101. I've actually been a member of several summer institutes at the National Constitution Center from 2016 through 2019, then a couple of remote activities as well. And have served on the Teacher Advisory Council for a couple of years. So I am very familiar with that, and how I can engage with content I'm familiar with and delivering that to a larger audience. That teachers are creatures of habit, and the things that they don't like about professional development is, number one, they're forced to go. Number two, is this something that can actually benefit me? Is this something I can use within my classroom? And my sense of this is that we want to crowdsource this. We want to reach out to stakeholders in advance and figure out what they need, what we have that we can offer them that will be a good fit. And ultimately, we come about this from an approach of mutual respect. That as I've been a table leader for the AP Government reading through College Board, that and I've done this remotely, and I always tell the teachers who are working with me is that ultimately everybody wants to get this right. Nobody's out there to misscore an essay, and along the same lines that anyone who's engaging with the Constitution, they ultimately, or any educator for any content, they want to get it right. And so where we can find ways to validate those experiences, where we can find ways to better fit the Constitution within their framework. I greatly appreciate the opportunity to interview and look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you.